they're trained to react to.
So it's
something
possible
like
that somebody got their arm pulled off, and that's way less gruesome. Somehow.
Yeah, well, it's still pretty gruesome.
Or even somebody just cut themselves while working on the piece of machinery.
I mean, it would have been probably a pretty big cut.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So.
I have cut my arm pretty badly, and though it wasn't a big scarring wound, it was a bleeder. And so I bled everywhere as I was trying to staunch the flow. So then I can see something like that.
Again, I guess I just assume that it's more than blood that those dogs are detecting.
And that's an assumption that it's hard to say is that correct or not. That's all I'm saying.
Well, okay. I'm not going to get into all the details of all the searches. There's been a lot of them. And again,
it seems like almost 1 or 2 a year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Since he disappeared.
Yeah. And as I said again, the Yellow Medicine River is everybody's favorite theory. He fell into the river, and that's been thoroughly scoured. And I'm pretty sure he didn't fall into the river. But let's talk about our theories about what happened. First theory is that Brandon fell into the Yellow Medicine River, and people on various websites have sort of said that maybe he got swept downstream, his body got pinned under a rock, and that's why it's never been found. But there's a few problems with this that I have. Of course, as I just said, the river's been very, very thoroughly searched.
Right.
And the HRD dogs, again, human remains detection dogs, have sniffed the river, and they haven't picked up any trace of a body in the river. And at his OS moment, he was close to the river, but the river at that place, if you look at the area, you can see this. It's actually lined with trees and brush and underbrush and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so...
Because you can't farm up to the bank of any body of water.
Yeah, no. And Brandon's objective was to reach 160th Avenue as quickly as possible. That's why he took his shortcut. And that's when he had his OS moment.
But he was cutting across the field to head towards the light that he saw in the distance, not necessarily the road. He didn't know where 168th was exactly.
160th? Well, he knew it was up there.
Yeah, but he also, if he decided to cut across the field, he said, "Screw this! I'm tired of going up and up and left. So I'm just going to go straight towards it." So he could have been heading that direction and not straight up to the road.
He wouldn't go into the trees, though, is my point.
But did he know that 160th was up there? He thought he was in a totally different place.
He didn't know what road was up there. That's why I'm saying he was heading towards the light of the town that he saw in the distance.
Yeah, and
he didn't know what road. He didn't care what road because his idea was cut across this crap.
Now but Brandon made the quite reasonable. He'd walked a half mile up this road before he cut across the field. He made the quite reasonable assumption that, again, these roads are every mile on the section lines. He made the reasonable assumption that there was a road right over there, and he cut across that field. And again, why would he go into the woods and tumble into the river when...
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he? Because going into the woods is not part of the mission. His mission was to get to the next road.
But he doesn't know what's in the woods. He doesn't know if it's just is it copse or corpse of trees?
Copse of trees.
Copse of trees. He doesn't know if it's just because it's pitch black. Mm-hmm. There's no moon at this point.
Yeah,
he's legally blind in one eye, so his depth perception is really poor.
Yeah, no.
He has no idea what's in there. So you're looking at a map and saying, well, obviously he had to be doing this, but he could have had no idea and thought, oh, it's a little bunch of trees. I'll just go through it.
I feel like every reason that you just gave is a reason for him to not go in there because he doesn't know. I mean, because he doesn't know what's through there. And if I know anything, it's that when you start cutting through trees, you're no longer walking in a straight line.
Yeah, exactly.
There's stuff in your way.
And his track mostly paralleled the Yellow Medicine River. It didn't really intersect it, except the dog did run over and jump in the river. So that made everybody think he fell into the river, but I don't see why he would have.
So here's the thing. Joe is forgetting something, and you haven't had this experience, which is being a peeved off 19-year-old dude who just says, F it, I know what I'm doing. I'm going there. Yeah. Nothing's getting in my way.
Well, and I guess that is the other truth is that if he was walking down it for so long, he was walking parallel to it, and he was like, oh my God, I'm never going to find a bridge.
To hell with this. I've made these kind of decisions as a very young man, and they were very dumb.
Well, yeah.
And he could have just said, you know what, I can make it. He's overconfident in his abilities to navigate through it in the dark.
Possible.
So
possible.
Now,
but
I don't think he's in the river, but I am using that as a reason to say that he may not have just been going up to 168th. He may have actually thought to cross the water.
It's fair. It's fair.
He might have. I mean, I think that would be a dumb move. Personally.
I agree.
But I tend to trust the bloodhound. I mean, I think the bloodhound probably tracked him, and so that would suggest that he also did not perish in the river, that he crossed the river.
It appears, the bloodhounds, the track, it appears to me from what I have read, and you guys have read the same stuff that I've read. Yeah, he was tracked all the way to the road, 160th Avenue. He was tracked all the way there. So whether he made a little side trip to the river or not, I'm not really sure. There's some thinking that he might have fallen into the river, gotten soaked, and then gotten back out.
Well, that would also explain the phone a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the potential that it got wet enough that the ringer and screen were no longer working, but it was still, quote unquote.
Yeah, it was still sort of
ringing.
working, but it wasn't functional in the sense of you could send
on his end, it
calls,
wasn't ringing.
He had no idea, and he couldn't see who
he
was
thought it
dial.
died. That's actually
Yeah. So as far as falling into the river goes, all the evidence suggests that he made it to 160th Avenue. So from that point, there were only two other places where he could have fallen into the river. There was a culvert about half a mile, three-quarters of a mile down the road. I'm assuming, and I think it's fair to assume this, that he continued westward on 160th. So there was a culvert where the river passed under the road. He could have fallen in there. I don't think he did because, it's like when you're walking on a gravel road, you kind of know when you're getting off the road because you stop hearing that crunchy sound that your feet are making. So even if he was completely blind, and completely unable to see in the dark, he still could have made his way. Yeah. Just by the noise and the texture of and so I don't think he fell into that culvert. And then the next place was just right outside the town of Porter. There's a bridge there. I assume you guys have seen it on the aerials. Yeah, and the bridge would be it's got a guardrail and everything like that. So that'd be kind of impossible.
And again, it's reasonable to trust the bloodhound's tracking, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, that's where it went. So, okay. So we don't think he fell and drowned.
So we don't think he fell into the river and drowned. Yeah. Another theory is that Brandon fell and he was knocked unconscious and died from exposure. And it was a bit chilly out. It was 46 degrees Fahrenheit, which, by the way, is about 8 degrees centigrade.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But Brandon was actually dressed for cool weather. I mean, he wasn't dressed for freezing cold, but he had on a T-shirt, a polo shirt over that, and also a hoodie sweatshirt. So, I mean...
That's enough.
You think that was enough?
Yeah, I mean, if he was if he had indeed fallen into the river and was soaking wet in cold water... and came out and was walking and then fell and got knocked unconscious and was really out cold, that's a reasonable assumption to make. But if we're saying he was dry and walking in a hoodie, I mean, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
It's not going to be comfortable, but you're not going to die of hypothermia.
Oh, no, not at all. And of course, if he was knocked unconscious, where's the body?
Yeah.
So I have an idea on that.
Yeah.
We already talked about this, is that the road got graded. So if it's a crappy road before they grade it, typically what you'll do is drive along pouring gravel, and then you grade it, and the shoulder always grows. The shoulder of the road, because there's always excess gravel getting shoved over. So if he's right on the shoulder, he could have been buried. Now, why the dog didn't find him, I know, so don't give me the look. But he could have been buried in extra gravel through that process.
For me, it's more than that. It's been a really long time. I'm sure that road has been, all the gravel's been stripped off it and regraded, and they've done a lot of stuff to that road.
Off the shoulders?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it's moved around enough that if there were a body of a 19-year-old man in there, it would have been exposed.
I'm saying
so.
This is another way. People always say, well, this couldn't have happened. Well, but technically it could have. It probably didn't because it hasn't been discovered yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of problems with the whole he fell and died of exposure, which is that no matter where he fell, he would be right in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some ways that people maybe could have missed it, but
with the amount of dogs they've used in this search, I don't think they would have missed it. At this point, a dog would have found it.
Yeah,
even if he was kind of hidden, or in some brush or, under gravel, I think they've used enough body detection dogs that they would have been found. He would have been found.
I think so. And there's other things too. It's like, we've all discussed hypothermia before and how people get this delusional feeling that they're too warm. They start stripping their clothes off and stuff. And That didn't happen here, apparently.
Well, but he would have been unconscious.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so he wouldn't have been stripping his clothes off.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Probably.
there are other theories, and that is that he was freezing cold because he was wet, and he was suffering from hypothermia, not quite right in the head, and he crawled into a hidey hole. He crawled underneath an outbuilding in a farm.
Again, I think dogs.
Dogs would have found it, probably.
Or humans. I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, another theory, and this is very popular, is that he fell into a well or a cistern.
And this was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, and those things are out there, but they've been checking every cistern, every well, every basement, every coal chute in the area. They've checked.
That they know of.
That they know of. There could be ones out there that they don't know of.
And that's what I was thinking, is that it's a poorly covered one. He falls in, and then within weeks, the vegetation covers up that hole again.
Yeah, it's possible.
That's possible. I actually spent a lot of time on the map looking for those kind of things.
Yeah, but the thing about it is if that was his OS moment, he's walking through that field and suddenly he falls into a well, and if it were me, I wouldn't be going, oh I'd be going, I would scream. I mean, I don't know what you guys would do.
I mean, I think
the falling motion would be where you said you had your OS moment.
Yeah. That's always my. I
the
would
initial
say
fall.
Yeah, and when I trip, I go
yeah,
or
yeah.
Or, God bless America, or whatever. But, that's all my initial reaction to things like that is to go, oh, something.
Yeah.
Not to
scream.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was.
So, if he goes, oh, and then drops the phone, it goes dead, and then he's like,
well, that's also saying that he falls into something that is a mile deep.
Yeah.
I mean,
is he not?
I don't know.
It could be something that was several feet down.
So I don't know, and I've not been able to find out what his exact tone of voice was. Whether it was like, "Oh shoot," or was it, "Oh shoot," or was it, "Oh shoot"? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what exactly it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the open well or cistern, I'll have more to say about that later. Why I don't believe he did.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he did. Another theory is that he just broke his phone, and actually his OS moment, his oh shoot moment, was actually not any huge crisis.
He fell into the river, got it wet, and then
or like a serial killer didn't show up with a chainsaw. It wasn't that. It's more like he tripped over something or he stepped in a cow pie, something like that. But he continued walking. His phone wasn't working, but he died of hypothermia later. But if he did make it to 160th, and all evidence indicates that he did, then he would have passed a farmhouse. You guys have seen the aerials, I'm assuming. There's a farmhouse. They're just like, I don't know, less than a mile down the road. I have to assume he was continuing west. He would have passed that farmhouse. They probably wouldn't have been thrilled to be woken up at 3:30 or so in the morning, but it's better than dying. It's better than freezing to death.
Yeah.
If he was truly in a crisis. There's other theories out there. One is, of course, this one always comes up in these disappearances. He ran away to join the circus. He started a new life. And
I think yes.
Yeah, he's living on a farm with Dorothy.
I think
Arnold
he was
and
a terrible
Marbury.
juggler.
Yeah.
Circus wouldn't have taken him.
Yeah, you think so?
No,
okay.
I have no idea.
So you guys aren't liking this theory?
No.
You
never do.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Oh, there's of course alien abduction. What do you guys think?
There's no proof. Was there like crop circles?
No, there weren't.
Yeah.
So,
this is just another one to be fun.
Yeah.
No.
No, and then another one, and this is always stressed when you read the web pages about him. Law enforcement always stresses that there's no evidence of foul play.
Well, there's no evidence general.
There's no evidence. Well, yeah, there's no evidence of any of these things. As far as like hypothermia, drowning,
right.
There's absolutely no evidence. Falling into a cistern, there's no evidence for anything. There's some variations on the foul play theory, and it's just in my head. So what if Brandon actually did stop at that farmhouse that I was mentioning a minute ago and knock on the door, but the farmer turned out to be a serial killer?
The Bloody Benders lived there?
Yeah, could have been. Yeah, so oopsie. So he did a lot of walking for nothing.
Yep.
Or an alternative theory is that the farmer was a very suspicious, paranoid type, and he shot Brandon to death because there's a guy on your property.
Yeah.
At 3:34 in the morning,
stumbling around and being weird.
Yeah, and so he might maybe shot him to death, and then maybe thought about it and thought, maybe I should like hush this up a little bit. And
put him underneath the grain silo.
Yeah, he buried him somewhere. And actually, in the aerial of the farm, there is a spot that's a little bit greener.
No.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just kidding. But And I don't think that's what happened, but that's possible. Another possibility is that Brandon made it all the way to the town of Porter, which I think he might just have done. But the town was all rolled up and nothing was open. And I have no idea if there was a phone booth or any kind of public phone in Porter at that time.
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
2008, phone booths are almost all gone. There's still one that I know of down on 12th.
Yeah, there's not many of them.
You know the one I'm talking about?
No, but it doesn't matter.
It's a weird, lonely little phone thing. In this vacant lot. But anyway, I looked on Street View. I didn't see anything resembling a public phone.
But maybe in 2008 there were.
Maybe there was. Yeah.
Or a bar. If an 18-year-old kid stumbles into a bar and says, "I crashed my car in a ditch 3 miles back. I walked here. My phone is dead. Can I use your phone to call my parents?" You're probably going to say, "Yeah."
Yeah. Oh,
sure.
No, for sure. But it was like 4 a.m. at least by the time he got to Porter. So I doubt that there was any bar open.
Yeah, that's fair.
No.
Yeah. But at the same time, there is a cafe in Porter. And I'm assuming the cafe would have opened at, what do you think, 6, 7 in the morning?
Something like that?
Yeah.
5 or 6?
Sometimes, yeah. In farmland, usually like 4 or 5, usually.
Yeah. So you could have just hung out and just waited for them to open, got the cup of coffee, and used their phone. I just don't know. And, of course, I'm making a lot of assumptions here.
Yeah.
About, we don't know. Between the time that he got onto 160th and whatever else happened, we have no idea.
Well,
it could have been that a serial killer just showed up in a pickup truck on 160th right there where
Jason in the hockey mask.
Yeah, and it could have been. But I know, this is why I totally don't believe he fell into a cistern or a well, and that is we know he got to 160th.
No, we don't.
No, we do. The dog says so.
We're reasonably sure.
We'll say that. We're reasonably sure.
Okay. I trust those dogs a lot, but when it comes to this and we have no trail other than what the dogs find, and it comes for naught, that's when I stop relying on it so strongly.
Yeah.
Because then it widens the area that he could have gone.
I got to say, I am taking the word of one dog for all this, and so I hope that dog.
And that dog could be a liar.
I hope that dog ain't making a fool of me.
It was the dog.
Yeah.
The dog did it.
Yeah. But here's
serial bloodhound.
But here's the reason. I'm sure he didn't fall into the river. I don't think he had any reason to go near the river. That area where they tracked him, where the dog tracked him all the way to 160th, well, obviously that was intensively searched. If there were wells or cisterns or anything else in that field, then they would have found his body in there.
This is why I have such a problem with the dog trail, is that based on it, they have scoured that area.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, he couldn't be laying dead in a field because nothing was growing at that time. They had planted, but it wasn't as if the grass was 3 feet high, so you would see the body.
Well, I guess I just don't know why, we keep saying, well, the road was graded and he walked up the road. Like, why is it not that somebody was driving down the road and said, "Hey, I saw you crash. Let me give you a ride into town."
And then,
and then turned out to be not a nice person.
Turned out to be a serial killer.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such an easy theory.
I strongly believe that this was a case of foul play.
Yeah.
And then they took him in a completely different direction.
Yeah. I don't see, I really
Well, in fairness, he had no idea where he was anyway. So
right.
Yeah, he did.
He could have maybe been giving them directions and they were just like,
yeah, they could have said, "Oh, no, that's actually this town and you want to go to that town? Let's go this way." And then just taking him for the last ride of his life.
I think so. Yeah, I don't see any other explanation for it, really. I mean, he made it. There's no reason to believe that he didn't make it to 160th, and from there, there's no reason for him to leave the road. He would have stayed on the road all the way to Highway 68, and then Highway 68 to Porter. So, yeah.
And as Steve was talking about, the brain of a 19-year-old who's probably actually just coming off of, I don't know, I'm sure you guys remember, there's those times where you get like a little drunk or tipsy and then you're awake for so long that you start to get hungover and you get real grumpy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was at that point by then and he'd been lost for a really long time and he'd been walking and he was tired and he was just like mad because his parents said, "We're here." He's just frustrated and he thinks he's invincible, and a car, he just puts a thumb out, car's going by.
Yeah.
Who drives around the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night?
No,
serial killers and farmers.
Yeah. So it's entirely possible. In fact, I think it's probable.
All right, so it's a serial killer farmer.
It doesn't have to be serial killer, though.
A killer farmer.
Just somebody with bad intentions.
It could be, but, and that might be the solution to this case, is that one of these days, who knows, somebody might nab a serial killer who operates in the Minnesota area, and then he might actually fess up to the whole thing. I mean, who knows?
Or she.
Oh, good point. Well, okay. You guys have any more theories?
Nope.
No? Yeah, I think we pretty much solved this one, except for who actually did it. Oh, well.
I don't know that we'll ever know who.
Yeah.
But we might know what happened to him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, kind of is.
Yeah.
But I do think that you guys can stop scouring the countryside. By all means, identify that corpse that's in Mud Creek. But other than that...
Yeah, find out where that's at.
Yeah, find that out. I don't think it's Brandon, really. Anyway, since we're at the end of the episode, it's time for just a little... it's time for some admin stuff. Our website, if you don't know it already, it's thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. And we're also on iTunes, of course. And so if you find us on iTunes, of course, subscribe. Leave a review and a rating, and obviously the better the rating, the better we like you. So yeah,
true story.
Yeah, we can. You can also
totally a sliding scale.
Oh yeah, you can also stream us. There's Stitcher and Google Play and God knows what else. There's tons of that stuff out there. We're on Facebook. We've got a group and a page, so join the group. And we're on Twitter, where we are Thinking Sideways without the G. And there is a subreddit, Thinking Sideways. So get out there and post all sorts of stuff, preferably not nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, you can email us, and we like to get emails.
Not nasty emails.
No, not nasty emails. But if you have suggestions or thoughts,
But also if you have
feedback and critique, yeah.
And feedback,
when I say nasty, I mean sending us weird. Nasty stuff.
No, we've gotten all kinds of constructive, I think, criticism from people, and that's good. That's not a problem. Just don't be a jerk.
Yeah, constructive might be a loose term for some of the stuff.
Well, some of it's not so. Yeah, most of it's good though. Some people have called in and just sort of like impishly reminded us that, hey, you mispronounced this.
Especially, we know.
And most of those emails come, not surprisingly, from Britain. But anyway, our email is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. And last of all, of course, if you want to support us, and obviously you do, there's Patreon. Patreon.com/thinkingsideways. You can pledge a certain amount of money, 50 cents, a buck, whatever. But just be aware it's per episode, so you're going to get dinged for whatever you pledge every time we run an episode. So just keep that in mind. You can pledge as much as you want. There's other ways, of course, to support us. We have merch. Go to our website, and you can buy mugs and T-shirts and all kinds of cool stuff. We don't have guns up yet, do we?
Never.
No guns yet? Okay. Thinking Sideways gun. I kind of like that.
It's not happening, dude.
Yeah. What else? There's PayPal. You can also, for a one-time donation, do the whole PayPal thing. That's totally optional, of course, but if you feel like it, hey.
And thank you for everyone who has donated, and those who are doing the continuing donations. We did greatly appreciate it.
It is, totally. Anyway, that's about it for this week. I'm hoping that Brandon, one of these days, there'll be a little resolution of this. I think it's entirely possible there will be.
Yeah, me too.
And it's entirely possible there never will be. I don't know. Anyway, so until next week, toodaloo, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
right? I'm 30 now. I can only remember being off 2 times.
Oh, his memory's going as well. You had some time off.
And both of them were when I was at school.
What's school?
One when it was windy.
Why did you have time off? Because it was windy.
But to be honest, Carl, that lasted for 7 years. Your time off at school.
Why did you have time off? Because it was windy.
Were you windy, or was it windy outside?
No, it was like when...
Your auntie wasn't out the window, was she?
Yeah. When the winds were bad in the 70s, and my mum said, oh...
Whoa. I remember space operas and flares. I don't remember the winds being bad in the 70s.
Well, my mum just said, you might get blown into the road, so don't...
She had so much faith in you, didn't she? As a human being.
Is that why she got fired from the pie shop? I'm not coming in today, I might get blown into the road.
Oh, God.
The funny thing it was, right, Steve, they had this thing going at school, because a lot of people used to wag it back then. Right?
Used to what?
Wag it, sort of not go in.
Yeah.
Right.
And they sort of tried to make it interesting for you by giving you
an education.
A certificate if you did a full week.
Reward for the rest of your life with achievement. That sort of carrot.
And also, like, let you go home at 3 o'clock on a Friday.
Right.
If you'd done a full week and that.
Yeah.
So it was lovely weather all week. Then it just sort of changed on a Friday. And I got up and it was all windy.
It's always windy for Friday on 7, isn't
it? Don't, if you don't go in, because, you might get blown into the road and that. So I said, all right, then I'll stay off. And,
so why did she told you to hold on to a fence or walk you there? What's this?
Did he give up?
I love this getting blown into the road. Is that based on your cats that kept getting blown into the road?
Well, so I got to school on the Monday, right? And the teacher said,
Took you
right,
a long time.
Today, to punish you, you're the only one who wrecked the whole week, right? Everyone else came in, you didn't. So everyone else is going home at 3 o'clock today, but you're not.
Brilliant. Serves you right. And
I wasn't bothered though. It was great because I said, well, you'll have to stay with me, won't you? And it was great. So all I did for half an hour was doodle and stuff. It was great that afternoon.
Yeah.
And that was ages ago. That was like when I was about 8. And that's one of the times I was off ill.
Yeah.
So it was,
but that wasn't even ill. That was wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So growing up on this estate, and there was this woman about 4 houses down, right? Who's a bit rough. All right.
Didn't fancy her.
Oh God, no. Right, but she had a baby.
Well, tell me about her first. I'm interested in this woman. What was she?
It was a very...
She like a man in a dress.
I mean, I didn't grow up in a posh house or anything. I'm not saying that if you live in a bit of a rough house, you're a bad person.
What does she look like?
But anyone can clean up.
Look like Tony Green with a fag on.
They didn't clean up much, right?
Oh.
Which, even if you've not got a lot of money, you can still try and make a place look nice.
Yeah.
Right? But she didn't, and a kid used to take a horse into the house.
Sorry. Whoa, Neddy. What do you mean a kid used to take a horse into the house? Where did he get a horse?
Must have nicked it from somewhere. Must have
done. So you've seen a horse in it?
No. What, is that from outside the saloon round the corner?
Yeah, was it just tied up with a bit of leather?
Right.
Oh, that's great. Did Big Jake come looking for it?
I'd been out.
Oh. Sorry, let me get this. This was before the lynching stopped or after.
Where did he get a horse from? What do you mean he must have nicked it? His mum said, where'd you get that from? I bought it. All right then, but keep it out of the kitchen.
I don't want you going Catlin rustling.
Where did he get a horse from, Carl? And how long did he have it for? Was he leading it or riding it? Mum, open the door, I can't stop!
I can't stop it! Open the patio door as well,
Looks like we got us a runaway! What do you mean?
I don't know, but the thing is, they couldn't afford to buy one because they're not cheap, so I'm just guessing. Maybe that's wrong of me. But I think...
He had a horse?
Yeah, right. So
that's why the family didn't have any money, they'd spend it on the horse.
No, I don't think, that's what I'm saying, I don't think they would have bought it. So anyway...
Yeah, it's wise to whisper, Carl, in case they're listening.
Yeah, and
they could be in the room next door.
It's not buying it, it's keeping it as well.
Oh, so I was like in the car with my dad, coming into the avenue, and you used to have to drive down it to turn round. And, you know, sort of go back to our house.
You had the traditional method of transport, yeah.
And, the horse was in the lounge.
Reading a paper?
Just like walking around.
Oh, God!
What?
And when I was doing it, I tried to earn myself some money once by flogging little flowers in plastic cups.
What? This is genius. It just keeps coming. What do you mean you tried to flog little flowers? What do you mean?
Wait. Let's play a record and come back to this, because this story's going to just unravel and unravel. It's going to go for hours. Let's play a track,
deeper and deeper. It's like an onion, isn't it?
We've created a whole world here where there's a man living with a horse.
Just walking around the lounge.
I come from the West Country, I've never heard anything like that.
I just think of a big sort of like orange carpet and it's got a rediffusion telly and this horse going, I'm fed up in here.
Exactly.
This is really...
I am not taking the rubbish out again.
Yeah.
Right, play a record. Let's have Velvet Underground. We've got that lined up.
Oh,
yeah, the classic from the first album, I'm Waiting for the Man. Let's come back to the horse in a second.
Little flowers in pots. What do you mean?
Underground and Nico, which apparently peaked at a disappointing 171 in the US charts.
Think of that.
And that's obviously Lou Reed, the Velvet Underground, and Waiting for the Man.
Yeah, great track. So we were talking, we were doing White Van Man, and we got onto
genetically modified babies, but
and
somehow
then Carl started telling a story about someone with a horse, and then he got onto, he was trying to make money selling flowers. Just do the flowers briefly.
Well, hang on, I just want to recap slightly. So there was a family, and who had the horse in the family?
It was...
Because you lived on an estate in Manchester.
So the mother was a right pig, apparently. Well, I don't know if that's relevant.
You don't need to go that far. But what I'm trying to do is, like, make a picture for you so you understand
what a picture it is. Who did she look like?
Bit of a... and no disrespect to her, bit like Pauline Quirk.
Quirky, yeah.
Right?
Okay, I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. I knew it was going to be Pauline. Did she have any tats?
I've never got that close to it.
Okay, all right.
So who had the horse? Was this her son or her husband?
No, her daughter.
Her daughter had stolen a horse?
Yeah, from, I don't know where, there was I think it was some stables down the road or something.
And they kept the horse in the house with them?
They kept it in the house.
Did they
didn't have it for long.
No.
Sorry, and you said you were in the house one day and you saw the horse in there?
What happened was, I was, they did this thing at school about raising money for charity, right? For some local charity. And they said you can do anything to raise money, and they came out with all these ideas, and I thought, that's good.
What was the charity?
Well, I don't know, I thought, forget the charity.
Yeah, that's just a good money-making idea. So, you're a charity.
So I asked my mum for some, because she used to have a lot of flowers around the house.
Sure.
I said, can I just take some snippings off them? And I'll go and buy some plastic cups. And got some soil out of the garden, planted the bits of plants in them.
Yeah. Got
a tray.
Yeah.
Had about 25 plants on it, selling them for 25 pence each.
Excellent. Did you sell any?
Yeah, so loads.
Did you just cut? You didn't just cut them and stick them in the soil?
Yeah, they wouldn't have survived. But I think people sort of thought, well, good on him for trying. But anyway, so I went round to theirs because I thought their house could do with a bit of colour and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a bit rough. So as I went,
the horse went, thank God for that breakfast. They've been feeding me kitty cat.
So I got up to the door and they opened the door and it was one of them houses where no carpet.
Yeah, a horse in the living room.
You know.
We've all been there.
And the horse was walking around the living room. I looked quite happy and everything because I always say that about
Black Beauty was on.
Yeah. Well, think about it, right? If you were a horse, where would you rather be? In a little wooden hut with a load of hay, or in like a house with a
central heating,
3-piece suite, and a telly and that?
Telly and that?
No, but I was saying this the other day.
And an Atari,
right? Yeah, I didn't go to school much because my mum and dad had a caravan.
Right.
No need, is there? No need when you've got that sort of fun at home.
Yeah. I used to just go away for weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, honestly.
Where'd you used to go?
Port Maddock.
But
and so you didn't go to school much?
No, I did, but not as much as everyone else.
No.
How many holidays were your parents having? What was their income that they could...
No, my dad used to work nights, and he used to travel back, because to Manchester from Wales, it wasn't that far. And
Manchester to Wales?
He used to do 4 on and 4 off, so me and my mum were, like, loving it.
But what Port Meredith?
Port Maddock.
Port Maddock?
Just down the road from Port Merion, where they filmed The Prisoner.
Right.
So that's cleared up for me. Yeah, location-wise.
So what did you do then? You were in this little 2-berth caravan on the back of a Cortina estate.
Right.
Well, what was it? What was the car? I want the... what was
Granada, Ford Granada.
Ford Granada. What are we talking? 1980...
Yeah, 82, 83,
right?
84, 85.
Okay. And you in the car, down there, park up.
Yeah.
What was it? What was Port Meredith?
Port Maddock.
Port Maddock.
I remember Ruth.
It's just, it's just a holiday camp.
Yeah.
And had an arcade and a beach. I was loving it.
Yeah. But, so of the 52 weeks of the year, let's assume, I don't know how many weeks you take off normally for holidays anyway. Let's just say, I don't know, you go to school 45 weeks of the year, maybe? Generally, most kids?
No.
Bit less than that?
42.
How many weeks would you say you actually spent in school?
Well, how many weeks do you have off for summer?
Well, we'll work that out. That's what
about 6 off for summer, about 3 for Easter, about 3 for Christmas.
Put it this way, I'm surprised I'm not Welsh, to be honest.
Right.
Because I was there more than I was in Manchester.
Did the school authority not come and check you out?
No, they didn't.
Didn't get Manchester, I suppose they didn't care, do they?
Not really.
Yeah.
They're lucky you turned up at all. Would you just turn up for the last day when you could take in your best toy? Did you know that when you could take in any game?
Just play with everyone else's. Why, why break my stuff?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good
well, this
point.
answers a lot. This does answer a lot. The fact that you spent most of your time on the beach as a kid.
Teachers were no good at my school. We were talking about it yesterday.
So you were teaching them a lesson by going on in the summer. Yeah. And did you go to university?
No.
No. Did you go to sixth form or college?
No.
When did you leave school?
When I was about 15.
Right. What, you just went on holiday and didn't come back?
I just got a job early, didn't I?
Where was it? Portmaddock?
Getting there. No, I was a printer. BM Print in Trafford Park. Have you ever seen, like, a bald pet?
No.
It's weird.
What do you mean?
Because my mum, we had a cat. We used to get through loads of cats because we lived on a...
Oh, God, it started early today, isn't it?
What do you mean?
It's only 10 past 1.
What are you doing?
No,
running a restaurant?
We lived on...
Oh, God, what do you mean?
No, we lived on, like, a main road.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So we used to get through a lot of them. My dad kept saying, stop wasting money, it's not...
Stop wasting money, not wasting cats!
Right, so, anyway, we had this cat that was ill all the time. And,
it's just bag of nerves, probably.
Yeah, malingerer. Yeah, I'm terrified.
I'm going to which house?
Rome. Oh, God, bloody hell. Rome.
Don't let me go to the Pilkingtons.
And it, for some reason, it kept being sick all the time. Right?
Yeah, that is nerves. That's definitely nerves.
So my mum kind of thought, I've had enough of this, and she shaved it.
Whoa! Whoa. Now, I know you're not vets in your family, but what correlation did your mum think there was between it being sick and shaving it?
Because it kept being sick, and it was a pain to wash, because it kept getting
So
caught
she
up.
wanted a dry wipe cat.
So...
Why didn't you just varnish it? What?
It's weird,
So now he's cold and sick?
No, but not all of it. She left sort of the back half, but sort of from its waist, sort of...
I love that! Shave it because it's sick on itself!
And it was the weirdest looking thing. I mean, normally I like cats. I'm always like giving yours a stroke on the head and that.
Yeah.
But as soon as she did that, it was like, oh...
Yeah.
Can't touch it. And then...
So now it's sick, cold and hated.
Yeah.
Carl...
It must have, the other cats must have been taking the mick out of it constantly. It's just making things worse. Did it get... I'm hoping that it got run over and was put out of its misery.
No, I think it got all right, that one. Or is that the... Yeah, it did get run over. It did.
Oh, God. Oh. Oh, dear.
How many cats do you say you've got through?
I'd say whilst I was living at home, it's still on the increase even though I'm not there. So whilst I was there, probably 5.
God.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
And were you upset each time, or you just got used to it?
It's one of them things, isn't it? Like I've said before, when you first see something, it's a bit of a shock. Do you know what I mean? It's like the Elephant Man or whatever.
Yeah.
First time you see him, it's that sort of, oh, look at that. Did I tell you the time when the doctor said I was going to die?
All right, keep talking.
Right, ages ago, must have been about 15, right? And at lunchtime there was this... We used to have a choice of stuff to do at lunchtime, right? We used to have like a burger place that had an arcade machine in it, right? So we used to go there and play on that and have a burger.
You were a cowboy, or... No?
All the teachers, had scams going on, so, in English, right, you'd go in there, and the teacher would say, right, what we're doing today is, got a load of brochures from Thomson, but they say, 1983 on the front, so I've got a load of stickers here that say 1984, let's see how many you can do in half an hour.
You are joking.
Did you go to school with Oliver Twist?
Sorry, you are joking.
I'm not, that's what they did. So the teacher must have been getting like a freebie or something for helping them out.
Is this...
Honestly, yeah, that's what it was.
That is fantastic.
They were all at it.
They were all, other than Mr. Fagan, you had...
Yeah. And then when they saw Karate Kid, they had every kid washing their car going, wax on, wax off, hurry up. Yeah. I'm teaching you something. Wax on, wax off, paint the fence.
So I'm just saying, you know, that's why I'm a bit quiet, because you're talking about stuff I can't
relate to.
And why didn't you sleep last night?
I haven't slept well since I was about 12. Do you sleep well, Steve?
Oh, wait, you can't let that go. I haven't slept well since I was 12. What do you mean?
Do you know, like, a proper... I used to love going to bed as like a kid.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, oh, am I going to sleep tonight? And I sort of wake up about 4 times. Right. Whereas when you're a kid, I remember really loving, like, going to bed. There was one time where I actually laughed myself to sleep because I couldn't believe me luck.
Is something wrong with him? What do you mean you laugh yourself?
Have you ever had it when you're really tired and you get in bed and the pillows feel
it's all cold, yeah.
And it's like, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
And it happened twice. Once when I just went to bed and I was really looking forward to it, and also when I helped my dad out once, like, through the night. He worked at this paper company, right? And I helped him out, and I got in at about 4 in the morning with him, got in bed, and I just was like, I was laughing my head off. I had to put the pillow over my head because I couldn't believe me luck. Like, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to sleep.
I just have to say, life up north is so extraordinary.
No, but you must be the easiest kid in the world to please. No wonder she knew she could just go get a cake. It's sort of like, what was he expecting me to say? He were expecting an extra hour in bed, but we got him cake as well.
Go to bed without any supper. Brilliant.
Brilliant, yeah. Your own bed. How long was it before you got your own... What did you used to do before? Just some straw in the corner?
No, it's just that thing of when you're really tired and...
And do you ever do this with Suzanne, though? Do you ever laugh yourself to sleep with her?
No, that's what I mean.
She can't sleep because you're chuckling away.
I don't know what's up with me. I've got a lot going on.
Carl was in Heat this week, and they mentioned that he does this thing on Sky. What is it?
It was this thing with Richard Bacon, some programme about watching telly, and you just talk about what you're watching and that.
And he was annoyed because he said because his parents are there, and so he's not doing it. He's not going to turn up because they mentioned it in Heat.
And so his parents might watch?
Yeah.
Why are you worried about that?
I don't like them watching stuff, do I? I told you. It dates back to when I did Little Donkey at school. I don't want people watching me.
What's that? Just renew us on Little Donkey? What happened?
It was just, I was there to play the drums and that in We Three Kings. I was loving it, I got a bit carried away.
How old were you?
About 13,
yeah.
Right?
Really?
Probably.
Yeah.
About 10 probably.
Yeah.
6.
Between 6 and 13. Where old were you? What school were you at?
Okay, you were playing Little Donkey.
Yeah. So, and, no.
No, but it was one of them schools where everyone sort of was in the same one. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, a Manchester school. Just
what
the one
do you
classroom.
mean?
Well, it's like...
sweeping chimneys in the day and then 1 hour of learning. Yeah. What are you talking about? What school were you at? Was it infants, junior or secondary?
They didn't really do that. It was one way...
What do you mean? You did that? They still have to abide by the laws of the land in Manchester.
No, but it was a lot more... Like you had infants, but you also had, like, the older lot. There's kids there... When you're in the younger year and that, you'd see kids and you go...
Talk English and use terms that people do when they're talking about schooling.
I don't even want to talk about this.
No, how old were you? What? Oh.
I'm guessing maybe 6 or 7 or 8.
So you went from 13 to 6?
Yeah, but like I say, it's hard to remember because...
Imagine if you were giving evidence in a trial.
Yeah. How old were you? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't really narrow it down other than 7 years either way.
Theoretically, he could get called up for jury service. Right, you're on...
A lot of mates who I had didn't have enough money to go on holiday, and they just get a present for the summer holiday.
Of course, they got an education, so it's
yeah, but Carl, the thing is with Carl is, right, I want to give him gifts.
Yeah.
I want him to have the loveliest Christmas ever. I want him to go pony trekking. Do you know what I mean? I want to just...
Scared of horses.
So many things we don't know about Carl.
Fell off one out of fate, and the woman didn't know what to do. She couldn't handle the horse. It was running off. I was hanging underneath, getting a kick in the head. No.
Really?
Now, hang on, what age were you? This could explain a lot.
I was about 6.
That makes a lot of sense. I think we got to the bottom of it here.
Oh no, got kicked in the head by a horse, lived in a caravan, and had to live in Wales half the time. Oh. Then no wonder this is your favourite time of the week. Do you look forward to this all week, these 2 hours?
It's alright. My mate, right, he was religious. And I'm not, really. But...
No, I mean, you believe in ghosts, though, and shadows pushing people off bikes, but go on.
But it's the same time, I think I told you once before that I went to the church with this lad because I swore and he said he was going to tell me dad.
Yeah.
I was effing and jeffing. So he said, if you're going
to... Is that how they get people to church nowadays? I love that, what kid, that, yeah, he hasn't got the idea of...
So I went on the Friday night, it was brilliant. We had Sabutio.
Round 2
Don't forget, Carl, I think God invented Nintendo too.
Right, well, anyway, so that was alright. I loved it on the Friday.
Yeah.
And my mate said if you go for 4 weeks in a row without missing a day, you get a free badge.
And salvation.
I don't like all this sort of being stuck in stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's
I don't get tied down.
Do you know what I mean? It's like... Right, so, anyway, so I thought, on the Sunday, it's like there's no table tennis.
Round 1
Sundays,
yeah, sure.
I mean, on Sunday. Knocking on the door.
God.
Round 1 5
Dad's putting the food away. Me and our kid are like, he's already grabbed something and gone back upstairs.
It's like feral children. It's a quest for fire. And then they all run upstairs. What did you sit under the bed? Gnawing at some sort of pig's trotter.
So I saw, do you remember Mr. Freeze Pops?
I do, yes. Well, they're kind of like popsicles, icicles.
Yeah, but really long, like a foot long, right? Yeah. So I thought, I'll have one of them, so I grabbed it.
Went for the nutritious stuff first.
Absolutely.
And like my mum and dad are putting this stuff away and what have you. And I rip it open and knock it back, right? Straight away, just like that, like, sure it's gonna be. But it went down the wrong way. No, I really enjoyed it. It's like, you know, you don't have to work with anyone else, right? So you make your own rules.
Just think of that.
You know, it's really good for me. So don't be getting up tomorrow. I'll give you know, whatever. Go to sleep, get up in the morning, and put all my kit on. I used to have layers of clothing on because it was really cold. I had like a big anorak on with the fur on. I had like waterproof pants, and I got my paper round bag. And I went downstairs to get out and tried to open the door and it was locked. I thought, oh, God. So she'd locked it so I couldn't go out. So I'm searching around the house looking for the keys. She must have hid them somewhere. I thought, oh, God, you know, I've got the papers to do. So I thought, how can I get out? So I went upstairs, climbed out of the bathroom window.
God.
Right, and to try and jump out of the bathroom window onto the porch. But the problem was, I had so much gear on, I was like the Michelin Man. So I could hardly move as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get out the window, and I'm like, trying to stretch down like that, get my foot on the porch, and my bag got caught on like the hook of, do you know like how you have a hook so you can put the window open?
Right, yeah.
The little arm goes on. My bag had got caught on that. I was holding onto the wall and my foot on the thing, so I couldn't sort of pull it away in case I pulled it away and then fell on my head.
Yeah.
So I'm stuck there.
Dangling.
My dad comes back from working nights.
Yeah.
He thinks I'm a burglar.
Gets out his gun.
So he's shouting and stuff, going mad and going, Dad, it's me. And he had to give us a hand using a...
He's heard that wily trick in Manchester before.
He had to help me using a washing prop thing. A big stick.
What did he do?
Well, he said, just hold on for your dear life, and I'll sort of push the paper bag off the hook.
Why didn't he go upstairs and sort it out?
It was at that point where I was in the middle. There was nothing you could do. Do you know what I mean? It's at that point where you've just got to make a decision.
Yeah.
And by the time you got upstairs, who knows what might have happened?
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to act there and then, not messing around.
Yeah.
So
and you could hear downstairs, now here he is, the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
Dad!
Hurry up!
Panther, ever so pink. Oh.
So that was close to death, because I must have been about 30 foot in the air.
Yeah.
And I would have, you know, that would have been nasty if I fell to the concrete paving. So.
Well, and, there's more to come. Should we play a record and come back to this? Because he's got more.
Oh, yeah, no. There must be one of them where you did fall on your head. This is the one I'm waiting for. There's got to be one. That would explain so much.
Yeah.
I nearly did. Nearly broke my back.
Jeez.
Once. My dad said I better can't kick me out. And I said I better can't fill out a check. With some variety.
任せとけ。ラウンド1。ファイト。